What's up, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Dirishfan podcast. My name is Danny. I am not an Irish fan. I am Dirishfan. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. This podcast is growing, and that means you guys are coming back and listening to your boy Bloviate about Notre Dame football. And that means, hey, I'm getting in my car to drive to work. I'm doing the dishes. I'm mowing the lawn. And I want to listen to some other person talk about Notre Dame football. And that means you're coming here, and I really appreciate that. You have no idea how much that means to me, being some dude in his basement doing this and starting out the way I am starting out. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm going to talk about the national title game coming up. We're on the precipice of the end of another college football season where Notre Dame is not a national champion, is not playing in the national championship. And before I talk about the game in Indiana and Miami and what all that means, I need to have a little message first before I start. Before I do, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the notification bell so that every single time I post an episode, you know that your boy is about to talk Notre Dame ball. Big picture, overall 30,000 foot view of where the program is, where it's going, where I think it's going. I'm not an insider. I am not someone who has coaches and former players on his speed dial like some of these other podcasts do. There's an avenue for that. You can go there. I highly recommend it. There's a lot of those guys that I really respect. As a matter of fact, I'm a part of that, and I reach out to them. And I am going to talk with them and talk to them and give you guys information about what they say back to me. And maybe we can create dialogue and we can create conversation and a platform for helping fans reach the Notre Dame media sphere and administration. There is something that we all live our lives by. Every single one of us. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what political bent you come from. Every single one of us lives off of some basis of accountability. Every single one of us. And we have to. We must. That's how we live our lives and grow as human beings, is when we have others in our lives, spouses, friends, family members, fathers, mothers, who say, hold up, I don't think you're doing this the right way. Maybe you want to look at it this way. That's called accountability. And we need that. We need that in our lives. The moment that a person, a business, an academic institution, a country gets to the point where they no longer have to answer to people, the moment that they start denying themselves accountability is the moment that you start seeing a fall. Every single time, in perpetuity, for all of human existence. This isn't an opinion, this is fact. So, my podcast is going to be a 30,000 foot view, overall look at not just the institution, but everything involving it, the players, the media, the fan base. And I want to provide the fan base a platform to be able to hold the university accountable. So, how do we do that? How's that happening? You have to examine the past in order to see where you are right now and project where you're going to go in the future. In the past, Notre Dame has been an independent and still is, to a degree at least. I've talked about that before. You want to know what my opinions about that? Go listen to some other podcasts. But they have operated independently. They are still independent, and they have come to a point where we're on the precipice of seeing another national title that's not Notre Dame. This season, they have actually done visible things that I have seen and that most of you guys have seen that leads you to believe they are completely bought in. And I use that intentionally, completely bought in winning a national championship, making this logo right here, I'm pointing to the ND on my hat, making that thing the priority for the football program and for the institution at whole, for the brand. They're going all in. What do I mean by that? They're starting to open up doors that were previously closed. A lot of the reasons why we struggled in the past is because we didn't have things like the transfer portal. We didn't have NIL. And those avenues are opening up doors for Notre Dame to be able to get players that they normally wouldn't be able to get in the past. But in the past, I have had people tell me specifically that there was a large bent of people within the administration, specifically the deans and others, that did not want football to become the main priority of the university. This isn't newsworthy. This is something that most Notre Dame fans know of, or at least have heard of, especially if you went there, and especially if you know anybody that currently works there or goes there. You know that the school has been at a civil war with itself for decades between football and athletics, but mainly football and academics. That somehow you can only have one or the other. You can't have either one. There's people who think that the only way Notre Dame can win is if they lower their academic standards and start recruiting guys that would go to LSU who are only getting 720s on their SATs. No, untrue. Totally false. I've never agreed with that. I still don't. And then there's a whole bunch of people, and these are the ones that have been winning, are the ones who are saying, nope, we don't want football to become the main attraction because we're a high academic institution. We need to be that way. We want to go the way of Harvard and Yale and the University of Chicago, who they have sports, and it's great, but hey, the Notre Dame game, the Indiana Purdue game's on. Let's watch that. No, that isn't the way to go either. They have been winning for decades. There's still some people within the program, or rather within the administration, who believe that, who think that way. You're going to have that at every institution, even at Bama. But those people at those institutions, yeah, let's just say that if they talk too much and too loud about that, they might not want to come back to school, because the fans there actually hold their administration accountable. Does our fan base hold our administration accountable? Well, we haven't won a national championship since 37 years. I'm going to harp this until we win one. You're going to hear me say that over and over again until we win one. Because I'm sick and tired of mediocrity. I'm sick and tired of hearing the ESPNs of the world and all the people, the Twitter people of the world, talk about how Notre Dame is never going to be a thing again, how we're irrelevant, and all the articles written. I'm sick and tired of I'm sick and tired of it. I'm done. I'm over it. I don't need it. I don't want that in my life anymore. And I want Notre Dame to understand that it doesn't take, you don't have to sacrifice academic standards in order to be great on the field. There are plenty of kids who go to Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson and LSU and Florida State and Florida and all the teams that have won national championships in the last 20 years who can attend and handle the academic rigors of Notre Dame. Plenty. We have to go get them. Now, we are. I believe it. I've seen it. I'm seeing it. We're seeing it with our own eyes. And that's great. But this has got to be the standard going forward. The mentality of there's a lot of people who think that Brian Kelly wasn't supported when he was here, or there's a lot of people who think that getting the things that we got, like the scoreboard, like the field turf, the Campus Crossroads project, that all of that was because of Jack Swarbrick and not Brian Kelly or whatever. The fact of the matter is that Brian Kelly did do some work, and Jack Swarbrick did some work. Brian Kelly was not a horrible coach. He's a horrible person, but he wasn't a horrible coach. He was a good coach. And more to my point, the university allowed him a situation to hang on for way too longer than he did. Way too long. He had 2016. He should have been fired after 2016. And here's the mentality specific that I'm talking about. And I'm gonna call out a person in the media sphere that I actually really respect, Tim Priester. And I've been listening to him for years. I still do. I still listen to him. I highly recommend that you do listen to him on Irish Illustrated. Having that said, I heard him say publicly, and this is why I feel like I can kind of comment on it, is because it's a public comment. he was critical of those who thought Brian Kelly should have been fired after 2016, because who are you going to get? I quote, well, who are you going to go get? There's just no coaches available. That has to be rooted out hook, line, and sinker. It's got to be rooted out of the Notre Dame fandom, of the Notre Dame media sphere, and the Notre Dame administration. How do you have decades of futility thinking that way? Well, we just got to hang on to this coach because we don't want to look bad and we don't want the PR, he went to the national championship game. He's winning games. That kind of thing. When you have such a program failure as Brian Kelly did in 2016, and then even more so, this is what I'm talking about, accountability. When you fail as badly as he did, and then there are no consequences going forward, you now institute a problem that is allowed to continue for years and years and years, and then the program becomes toxic, and very few people want to come. And you can get your program just enough to the point where you're in the quote-unquote competing sphere, to where you're winning 10 games a year sphere, but you're not actually winning championships. And the years that you actually compete against those teams, you get annihilated. I'm talking about that too. We can't allow that to happen ever again. Freeman, Bavakwa, the people that came before him, they have set up now, I believe, a situation for Notre Dame to be successful, whether it's Marcus Freeman or another coach going forward. I believe that they have done that. Now we have to hold them accountable. We have to go back and look. Look, this can't happen again. The Bob Davie, Charlie Weiss, Tyrone Willingham era can never happen again. A 2016 4-8 season can never happen again. 2007 3-9 season can never happen again. Never. It's never going to happen again at any of those aforementioned schools. You think you're going to see Ohio State? I don't care who's coaching them. You think that they are going to handle a 3-9 season, a 4-8 season? Do you think those fans will be okay with that? 100% no. Absolutely not. They are not. They would never be okay with that. And this, I don't care if that's the coach's first season, second, fifth, or 10th. The second a coach ever has that kind of season at Ohio State, they're fired the next season, guaranteed. And that's got to be the standard at Notre Dame going forward. You can't have the excuses of, well, who are we going to hire? Who is out there? There's just nobody out there. There's no big names out there. We have been hiring offensive and defensive coordinators for decades. Why couldn't you go out and find a highly ranked defensive coordinator and give him a shot? Like we did with Marcus Freeman. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get why we've done that in the past, and I don't want to go there again. I don't want that to happen in the future. So accountability, reminders of the past, those need to be constants in the day-to-day interactions between fans and the administration. It has to be. It has to be. That kind of futility, that kind of flaccid competition is something that I will never go back to again. And if you're one of those fans, hey, take the movie Rudy, for example. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be that clichéic. Rudy, okay? And I don't care what Joe Montana says. I don't care who anyone says. Rudy was offsides. 90% of the movie Rudy wasn't true. Look, what was true was that Rudy was a fan. He became a player, and the boy has a movie made about him. Last time I checked, yeah, Montana, he's got 4 Super Bowls. He's a legend. No matter where he goes, he might not have to buy a drink, or he's buying everybody else drinks. But he didn't have a movie made about him. Rudy Rudiger did. That's saying something. And in that movie, at the beginning of the movie, remember when Pete, little Pete and little Rudy are sitting down there with Rudy's dad, he's like, and little Pete goes, Mr. Rudiger, sir, at halftime, can we watch some of the Indiana-Purdue game? He looks at Rudy and goes, we only watch one team in this house. That is what I'm talking about. The Notre Dame fan who wants to watch a little bit of the Indiana-Purdue game, and the Notre Dame fan who's like, we only watch one team in this house. I'm not saying that you're not a fan if you watch other college football games. Obviously, I do too. I'm going to watch the national championship game tomorrow. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about having the level of fandom that even at halftime, you take a break to drink some water, shove a wing in your mouth, and then you're back at watching the game, standing up, cheering on your team. That's what I'm talking about. Those fans, me, you, we need to hold the administration accountable because we expect and we want greatness. How does Notre Dame get greatness? You win national championships. You win them. You don't go to the game, you win it. That's how we're judged. And until we join a conference or not join a conference, I said it in my last podcast, I'm going to say it again. If you want to remain independent, winning a national championship within the next year or two, tops 3, because that's honestly the max amount of time I see Marcus Freeman coaching at Notre Dame. We must win a national championship. I think we're going to have the best roster, top to bottom, A to Z, in the nation next year. I do. I believe that. A lot of other Notre Dame fans believe that. I don't care what the national media says, but I think they're going to come around themselves. I don't think the question is going to be how good the roster is. I think the national media is going to look at, well, how tough was the schedule? Look, we'll get to those. We'll get to those conversations. But we will have one of the best rosters top to bottom next year in college football, if not the best. And that's saying something. I don't know that I've ever seen that in my lifetime. I've seen plenty of rosters that were good. I've seen plenty of Notre Dame football teams that had great defenses and average offenses at best. I've seen plenty of Notre Dame football teams with great offenses and average defenses at best. But I've never seen a team that can complement itself quite like I have with this roster. I don't know that I've ever seen it in my entire life, especially our starters. Now we're deep, but our starting 22 between offense and defense, and shoot, even our kicker, we're good. We're really, really good. So the time to strike is now. We need to win it, hopefully next year. Which leads me to my next topic, the Indiana-Miami game. Now, some of what I talked about previously just now kind of bleeds into this. We are about to live in a world where Indiana University or the Miami Hurricanes, the U, and annoying Michael Irvin are going to win a national championship. One of the two. How is this relevant to Notre Dame? What does this mean? For 2 seconds, Indiana University has cared about football. For 2 seconds. They are a basketball school, okay? They care about basketball and they're terrible at basketball right now, which blows me away. But they decided to make this push towards football. And the reason why is because they have finally read the tea leaves and have seen, to make this institution great, you have to get it on the tips of the tongues of people. How do you do that? You go to the sport that the most people watch, which is football. I've said it before. Notre Dame is a great academic institution. It would be a phenomenal academic institution without football, perhaps even as good as the University of Chicago. But one of the reasons why not a lot of people talk about the University of Chicago is because they don't have any program. They don't have a football program. They dropped out of the Big Ten. They used to be the Big Ten. A lot of people don't know that. They are one of the original starters of the Big Ten, University of Chicago. Nobody cares about them anymore. Why? They don't have a program. At best, that's what Notre Dame would be without football. At best. But they are a worldwide global brand because of football. Period. Indiana University is recognizing what this means, what this sport means to the American psyche and to fans like me and you. It's a big deal. We love it. We come back, we cover it, we listen to it, we watch it, and we want to because it's fun. So you spend your money and you invest in what most people are going to watch and see. This is Economics 101. And Indiana, they have been good for 2 seasons. And they are probably gonna win. They're my favorite. I believe they're gonna win a national championship. And a Heisman Trophy, which they've already won. Two things that Notre Dame has been looking for since 87 and 88, they're about to do within 2 seasons of carrying. You want to hear another Irish fan bloviate about this? Go to Always Irish, John Kennedy. He said the exact same thing, and I 100% agree with him. I cannot believe I'm saying this. Indiana University is going to be the national champion in football, or even worse, the U. Miami's going to have their second national championship between Notre Dame winning theirs and now. They'll have 2. We'll have 0 between 1988 and now. I can't believe that. We're going to live in that world. We're going to live in one of those worlds. And that blows me away. That absolutely blows me away. And if you're one of those fans that goes, well, it'd be nice to root for, it'd be good to root for Miami because we played them in the regular season, and head-to-head, everyone looked at that, and it'd be nice if we could go into the offseason saying we only lost the national championship by 3 points. Big sigh. I am so sick and tired of those kinds of arguments. I want to win those games. I don't want to lose those games by 3, only for that team to go on and win a national championship, and that team happened to be the U. Stupid fan base and a school that cares nothing about what real academic standards stand for on a football field. Yeah, they're a high academic institution off the field, but they don't hold their athletes to any standards whatsoever. None. 0. Zip. Carson Beck, I saw something in one of the message boards. I think Carson Beck didn't attend a single class this semester, not one. They don't care about academics. They're not a real institution. Now, maybe a lot of people don't care about that, but they're frauds. And their fan base, they only show up for big games. They have one of the most beautiful stadiums in the world, where there's either a Super Bowl or a national title there almost every single other year, and they can't even sell out unless it's Notre Dame there or Florida State. Even then, look at the stands. Go back on YouTube. Look at how many people. Go back and watch every single one of the regular games on YouTube. You can watch abbreviated versions of it. Look at how many fans are in the stands for their games. It's pathetic. They don't really care about that team, and they're about to be on the precipice of a national championship. And then on the flip side, IU. When growing up, I come from Indiana. I love IU. I do. I love IU basketball, and I watched a lot of those teams. I went to Oak and Bucket games. I watched Antoine Randall. I remember those teams. If you know who Antoine Randall is, who didn't play for the Pittsburgh Steelers and who played for the Indiana Hoosiers, was a starting quarterback, you know what kind of teams I'm talking about. They were pathetic. Pathetic. They were terrible. It was a dumpster fire of a program. If they got to 500 in bowl eligibility, it was a victory. And most of the time, that coach went on to go get another head coaching gig somewhere else because of what an achievement that was. That's who's the favorite for winning a national championship this year. It blows my mind. So if you're 25 or younger, this might not be funny to you. Maybe this is like, what are you talking about? Tell you whatever. They have not cared about football for years. And then the second that they start caring, they do it. They pull it off. I highlight this to show you that it might be hard to continue success. There's a reason why the Saban era at Alabama is so unique, because there hasn't been very many schools and coaches that are able to do anything close to like that, anything close to what Saban put together. 6 national championships at one school. The only other rival is Bear Bryant, who had 5 at the same school. So, and that was over a coaching period of 30 years. Saban was only there for 15 or 16 seasons. So he won more national championships at Alabama than Bear Bryant did in half the time. And there's a reason for that. The reason is because he was a great coach. He was the best coach. But when you can combine coaching with a school that's philosophy is built on making their football program great, you're going to see great things. Accountability between us and this and the administration. This is what that looks like. We have to accept nothing less than greatness on the field. Nothing less. You don't have to sacrifice academic standards. You don't have to offer parents jobs and stuff that coaches like or places like Auburn did with Deuce Knight. You don't have to do that. You can be great on the field and great in school and win national championships. And that's got to be the standard. And you have to commit to it. You have to commit. IU did it, and they're seeing the fruit from that commitment. I don't even want to say necessarily Miami's doing it, but I tell you what, they spent a lot on their roster. And Ohio State did last year too. And they've got national championships, or Ohio State's got a national championship to show for it. Miami is on the precipice of one. IU is spending a ton of money in the transfer portal, and they're seeing fruit. So we're spending money. I know we're spending money on the transfer portal. We went and we got these athletes. We went and got athletes that aren't one and dones either. They're hopefully gonna remain on this roster. So that's a good thing. But we got to keep it up. We got to keep going. My prediction for tomorrow: IU 28, Miami 17. I think IU is going to score late, and Miami's not going to be able to go over the hump, and it's going to be just enough for IU to hold them off. They're both really good teams. Miami, as much as I can't stand the university and I hate that school, but they are a lot better than people give them credit for. They have a really, really good defense. They have a very strong, big, athletic, solid offensive line. And then Carson Beck, he's not winning Heisman trophies, and I don't know how high he will go in the draft, but he's making great decisions. In the past, normally you'd fluster him up, and he'd throw errant passes and throw interceptions. He hasn't been doing that this year. He looks pretty good. So they're a good football team. They're a really, really good football team. They're a national title competing football team. And it's so frustrating to just see this, because had we won that game or had we beaten Texas A&M, these are two teams that I think we could handle easily. And oh my gosh, would I love to have that game back. But, we can't. That's the nature of football. We're going to play them next year, though. We're going to have them at home. And guess what? We better win that game. We're going to talk about that when it comes. We better win that game. I will hold our institution, Marcus Freeman, and that team accountable, because especially if they win the national championship, because there's going to be some revenge needed. I'm going to leave you with this. Marcus Freeman, he said, "Leave no doubt." I don't know if that's going to be the team motto going forward. I don't know. I love it. I hope it is. I hope the second that they meet for spring, that they start the leave no doubt legacy going all the way through the national championship next year. Every single team you play, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Wisconsin. I don't care if it's Miami. I don't care if it's Navy. If we can win 100-0, we're going to do it. Leave no doubt, especially if our schedule turns out being not as good as people think, which I don't think that's true. I think it's better than people think. But I'm a Notre Dame fan. I don't make those judgments or those calls on strength of schedule. The other teams do, and who we play. And by the way, we schedule these games years in advance, so it's not like we're doing this on purpose. Other schools are, like USC and Ohio State, and nobody cared about Ohio State the year that they won a national title. They played 3 good teams, lost to 2 of them. They beat the one really good team, and that was good enough for them to be ranked 6th in the country. They didn't play in their conference title game. They didn't win their conference, but people still viewed them as the favorite going forward. And they won. They were the best, and they won. So, schedule, it doesn't really matter. I don't care who you're playing. Leave no doubt. Win by 100 every game. You will see fruit and win a national championship. That's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We're going to talk maybe later on this week about the game, IU game. We'll see what happens. And going forward, we're going to look at rosters. At least we're going to look at our roster. We're going to look at the offense. We're going to look at the defense. And I'm excited to put this season behind us after the national championship game and look forward to 2026 where we leave no doubt. Go Irish. God bless. I love you.